As her cracked voice left her lips, she felt the gazes of the two men penetrating her. I want to do as Grand Duke Fenric suggested. She realized that this choice to leave the palace might spoil the original story even further. But I don't want to go through those times again. Her days in the palace were filled with pain, fear, loneliness, and terror. This doesn't mean she trusts Fenric completely. Unexpected things can still happen. You will no longer be able to meet the original male characters, nor will you be able to trigger fixed events that only took place inside the mansion. The system won't work either. But did any of that really matter? However, the game did not follow its original story. She had not forgotten her initial goal of finding the real male protagonist, but the desire to leave this place, a place where she faced constant traumatic deaths, was just as strong. As in the game's title, she no longer wants to remain trapped, helplessly waiting for predetermined choices. Barely enduring. She wanted to regain at least a modicum of freedom, and stop living in constant worry about when another constant terrible event would start. If someone is targeting me, as Grand Duke Fenric said, it means I have been in danger many times already. Even Ella, who served me closely, turned out to be involved with the rebels. How can I be safe in the palace? I will leave the palace with Grand Duke Fenric. Please let me go, Your Majesty, I don't want to die. I want to live. Although her words were sincere, Dietrich did not react immediately. Rather, he was staring at Presepe, his face filled with a storm of emotions. Will he revolt again and object to her decision with ridiculous excuses? Will he accuse her of abandoning him again and spread anger and resentment? If he did, I wouldn't be surprised at all. He is that kind of person. But to her surprise, Dietrich did neither. You want to live. You don't want to die. Before Dietrich's dimmed eyes passed the scenes of the countless tragic deaths that Presepe had experienced, every one of them his own. Good. After what seemed like an eternity, Dietrich finally spoke, his hoarse voice barely audible. Grand Duke Fenric, take Presepe and leave the palace. However, Fenric remained as calm as ever. But, Dietrich continued, you must also investigate the recent series of incidents. As I said, you are the only one of my closest associates whom I can trust. I will, Fenric answered calmly. As for Ella, they detained her in the ice prison immediately. They interrogated her and revealed everything, how she conspired with them and all the information she had about their group. At Dietrich's command, Ella's face turned pale, as if she might faint at any moment. But that wasn't the most important thing at the moment. Let's go, Mrs. Fenric's look towards Presepe was completely different from the way he looked at Dietrich. There was something a little warm in his expression, although he still felt suspicious. Meanwhile, the waiting guards dragged a screaming Ella out of the room. But when Fenric left, Presepe was about to follow him, and leave the audience hall altogether. Presepe. Dietrich's voice came from behind her. Do you have something to tell me? What do you mean, Your Majesty? Anything, whatever. Dietrich's voice trembled as he continued speaking. For example, like telling me I misunderstood you, something like that. You misunderstood me, yes, Dietrich misunderstood her. That ridiculous belief that Presepe herself abandoned him. When she tried to win his heart in the past, Presepe begged him countless times, like a dog, insisting that it was all just a misunderstanding. She begged him to believe her. But why should I bother explaining his misunderstanding now? Especially at this point. To Presepe, Dietrich was nothing more than someone who caused her horrific death several times. No more, no less. Now, it's not even worth reconsidering. No. So Presepe shook her head and replied, nothing at all. There is nothing at all. Understood. That was the last thing Dietrich said in his low voice. Is that all you're bringing? While looking at Precipice's possessions, Fenric raised a slight eyebrow. It was understandable, as her luggage consisted of no more than a dress or two. But there was no way to help her. She had been confined to the tower all this time, so she didn't have a wealth of dresses to her name. This was her original place, after all. Honestly, she didn't want to take anything that reminded her of this place. What fond memories might you have here? The dresses were only packed because she needed something to wear, but other than that, she had no attachment to anything. It doesn't make sense to call it luggage, right? It doesn't matter, anything you need can be bought later, Fenric replied. Okay. Oh, wait a minute, this too. I'll take this too. Suddenly, Presepe reached for something on the table, a vase. A suspicious vase that no one can tell who left it behind. Is there a particular reason you wanted to bring this vase? Fenric asked. There are a lot of vases on the property. Well, no special reason, Presepe replied. I just want to get him. Is that a problem? Of course not. At Fenric's response, Presepe held the vase tightly in her arms and looked at it. She still doesn't know who left that vase, or the flowers she once held. But there was one thing she remembered clearly, early on, when her life here was just misery, the flowers someone had left in this vase had brought her unexpected comfort. Although she couldn't keep the flowers, the vase remained. She wanted to bring him with her. This vase was the only thing in the tower that held even a fraction of a good memory of her. Fenric watched silently as Presepe carefully cared for the vase she was holding to her chest. Was she insistent on keeping this vase because he offered her some solace in those difficult times? Probably. While he was thinking this, Fenric's mind went back to that day, which was still fresh in his memory. Sneak into the empty tower, place the vase on the table, and fill it with fully blooming flowers. A slight smile crossed Fenric's lips. It must have been a gift. You hold it, dear. Well, yeah, that's right, Presepe replied, a little confused. In truth, she had no idea who had left the vase, but she saw no need to explain it to Fenric, not that she could even if she tried. The person who gave it to you will be happy to see you cherish it so much. Very happy, I imagine. I will carry the rest of your things. Please take care of the vase yourself, Mrs. Oh yes. Thank you. Let's go. As they walked, countless thoughts and fears filled her mind. Will you regret this later? Would it have been better for her to stay in the palace, where she could at least use the system to gather information? But it was funny. As she moved further away from the tower, the palace faded behind her. There was a stronger and clearer feeling of indescribable joy coursing through her body. I don't need to shift in this cage anymore. She no longer had to live in fear like a pig being led to the slaughterhouse. She will not be imprisoned, executed, or falsely accused. I shouldn't live in fear, as if my death is already inevitable. This realization alone made her heart beat harder. With the fresh spring breeze touching her cheeks, Presepe stepped forward with new determination.